Hi, everyone.
Oh, you're beating me to it.
I can see people.
That's good.
Hi, Dolores. Hi, Greg. Hi, Rob. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Lana. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for all the shares. Will someone ping my mom, please?
Oh, your mom has been pinged. She knows we're
Will
on.
someone ping my mom, please?
But she knows we're on. I cut off one source of echo, which was Facebook itself.
Ah,
Okay, so here we are. And tonight I'm here with my daughter, Devora, who came up with an idea some time ago, which we've been fooling around with a little bit on Twitter. And the idea is called hashtag National Day for Bernie. And I put a question mark on the end for purposes of this particular live stream because I thought what would be appropriate for tonight would be for us to vet the idea now. So I'm going to turn things over to Devora, and she is going to tell us about her idea.
well, for as long as I've supported Bernie for president, there's always been this big question. And the big question is what happens when we put this maverick up against the system? What happens when we put this person up against a Republican when he seems so far left compared to everything else we've ever seen? Well, it seems to me the way that you do that is you put it in the public square. It took me a while to figure this out, but I realized that the party has made clear they're going to stand against him no matter what. So if they're going to stand against him no matter what, and pretty much everybody on the debate stage said this in the last one, I think second or third debate, they made clear they were not going to let it stand. Well, that means that Bernie should not have been there any longer. He didn't have any reason to stay, really. So I'm looking at the situation where they've more or less brought us a dead body in the form of Joe Biden, and they're telling us that we need to follow this guy who may be replaced by someone who nobody picked. And I'm saying, oh, okay, how can we get around this? How can we make sure Bernie has a good idea that he can win before we try to get him to leave the Democrats? So we know that he's probably signed something that says he'll support the party. But the question is, what could break him of that? And I think one thing that could break him of that is proof that the sleeping giant of the independents will come out for him, that a lot more Democrats will come out for him than we ever originally thought, because I mean, a lot of us have seen signs of voter suppression and other behaviors that seem to imply that many votes were not counted, we don't really know just how big his support base is. Now, if we're pretty sure that people are not going to come out for Joe Biden, and we're really sure that people will come out for Bernie, then it's kind of a no-brainer that if everyone's Trump and to get rid of dangerous concerns,
Okay, there's a little bit of a technical difficulty here.
the plan vote for Bernie to go
Okay, Devore is
too
still.
far.
Okay, so Devore, if you repeat what you said for about the
So
last minute, that would be good because
I
there was an interruption in the feed.
think
Okay, my advice is to go out and come back in again.
I think who have we lost? Am I gone?
We've lost your sound a little bit. It's been breaking up now for just about a minute. Okay, the best thing might be to go out and come back in with the same link and see if you can get a refresh of the feed. Okay, I have you back.
Yay! Where did we
Okay,
stop?
it seems much stronger.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
okay, the sound seems a lot stronger. So please, uh, okay, you were starting to explain where it started fading out. Was where you began to talk about the independents coming in very strong for Bernie. And if we could show him that that was going to happen, it might convince him to come back in.
Right. Well, Bernie's big fear is that he's going to be Ralph Nader.
Yes.
He's afraid that he's going to be a spoiler and that not that many people are really going to follow him. And the proof of him failing to get the Democratic nomination is going to be the reason for that. Now, while I've met enough young people to know that at least somebody is feeling discouraged that their vote won't be counted, I'm not entirely convinced that he actually lost that primary. There were just too many things going on that seemed to imply that that was not the case. Too many polls closed in Texas. Too many weird things going on in California that limited how many delegates he would get there. Um, just too many things happening at once. Um, Massachusetts, you're really going to tell me that Elizabeth Warren wasn't going to perform better there? I don't buy those numbers, not in a million years.
Yeah.
And I don't even like Elizabeth Warren very much.
Right.
Um, so something was definitely wrong with that primary. Something was wrong with the previous primary. It's very clear that the Democrats want to give us whoever it is they want to give us, and that we're supposed to fall in and vote for whoever that is, regardless of how poisonous they are to our lives. And there's little doubt that when you've got Biden sitting here saying that Medicare for all isn't necessary in the middle of this pandemic, and you're going to tell me that that dude cares about us, that this is somebody who we should elect rather than Trump because we're going to be oh so much safer. I don't feel safer. I don't feel like that guy's going to step up for us. I don't feel like the people who are directing him from behind, obviously, are going to take care of us. They're not jumping to do it. You know, where's all the fighting tooth and nail and grandstanding to make sure that there's money coming from each and every one of those stimulus packages? I'm not seeing it. Now, at the very least, as a condition of Bernie's cooperation, we should have been seeing that. We most definitely should have been seeing a lot more with regards to making sure that the delegates who supported him would be seen and counted. And certainly if both Ohio and New York are deciding, oh, we're not going to have a primary, we're just going to assign delegates as we see fit, um, that's disenfranchising a lot of people. And on no face of the earth is that okay with me. And I'm betting everyone else here is a little bit lost and confused and disappointed as well. And I'm really wondering, what will it take for Bernie to say, okay, I have done everything possible to make things work here. I have done everything possible to keep my side of the bargains that I've made, but they're not doing the same. If they're not doing the same, at what point will everyone agree that it's okay for me to walk away and for me to serve the American people first?
Right. Okay, let me clarify one thing. So, what you are advocating for is that we wait until after the nominating process is complete for the Democrats.
Well, there's little doubt at this point that Bernie is not going to win unless either Biden drops out and they find out they have no way of replacing him, or something else unusual happens
Right, but
here and pretty
I'm
much
just
everybody else
trying. Okay,
votes for Bernie in the next 20 states.
okay,
I don't
but
see that happening.
right, I don't see that happening either. But what I wanted to clarify was just that what you're proposing is that the National Day for Bernie waits, okay, until after the convention, okay, is done. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We
And
should give the Democrats every opportunity to exhaust all the bad possibilities and to run into the good one, because that's the way that they accomplish things. They do all the wrong things before they finally do the right thing. And if Biden's decline gives them no choice but to do the right thing, then great. We won't have any work to do.
okay, so if they nominate someone other than Bernie at the convention, then if we go through with the National Day for Bernie, what we'll be asking Bernie to do, or what we'll be trying to get him to do, will be to decide, okay, at by that point, to run as an independent candidate. In other words, after the National Day for Bernie shows him all the support that he has, we'd be hoping, okay, at that point that he would make the decision finally, at long last, to get out of the Democratic Party and to run as an independent.
Unless he's got a better idea, yes.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to clarify. So, what kind of showing would we have to have on a national day for Bernie to change his mind about that? Hi, Amber.
Hi, Emmer.
To change his mind about that.
Well, that I'm not entirely certain about. I think that the numbers would have to be demonstrative. I think that we would need some way to collect a list of likely voters and collect them at exactly that time, all very, very quickly. And we would need to give as much impression as possible that that support is real.
How could we collect such a list, okay, of voters?
I have no idea. I'm just starting out this idea. The idea is to get people to demonstrate for him, to show him that their support is a real thing. Now, if that means, half the people go on Twitter and say, I will vote for Bernie no matter what, or if it's half of them do that and maybe another half goes out and demonstrates for him, whatever needs to happen, if people will stand up on that day and say, him and no one else, then we've got what we need.
So, what we need is the help, okay, of a lot of people to try to figure out how we'd be able to develop such a list, but really on social media, right? We'd have to have that kind of
It
list
seems
on
like
social
social
media.
media is the best way that it could be done. Of course, people could create false numbers from social media, but people could also create false numbers from crowds. I mean, how often did we see that Hillary Clinton couldn't fill a high school auditorium? Bernie was filling stadiums, but everybody made like he should drop out.
Yes, I
So,
know. I know he was having 30,000 people, sometimes even 35,000 people in 2016 at some of his shows. They were fantastic.
and certainly I saw the huge turnout here when Public Enemy supported Bernie with their concert. It was huge. Now, we kept being told that young people didn't come out for him at the actual polls, but I don't know how true that was. Maybe it was
Yes,
less
I don't know
maybe it
how
was
true.
less true than people expected, but I don't think it was so much less true that
I'm not
it
even
wouldn't have
sure
warranted
it
that
was
kind of
less
crowd.
true. What did the exit polls show?
I
What it
believe
said
the
to
exit
people?
polls from I've forgotten that company's name, TMS Research.
Oh, yeah,
I,
TMS
I
research.
I believe in California that the difference was around 8%.
Oh
It
no,
was a huge.
I'm not. But talking of the gap. Okay, I know about the gaps. Okay, in the exit polls. And what I'm saying is, what did the exit polls actually show about the demographics? In other words, did they show that there were large numbers, okay, of young people that were coming out for Bernie? Okay, that's what I'm asking because they did some demographics on those exit polls, okay, as well.
I'm going to ask the internet.
Okay, go ahead and ask the internet. Yeah, we know they cheated. We're sure the machine tallies, okay, were rigged. Okay, and the evidence for that is how wide the gaps were, okay, in the exit polls, okay, in many states between what the exit polls were showing and what the final vote, okay, was showing. The actual vote, okay, was showing. Okay, in certain cases, in one state, the gap, the loss for Bernie and the gain for Biden was creating a difference of 23 points in one state. I mean, it was really ridiculous.
And
And
highly unlikely given that there seem to be a multitude of colleges who don't even have a pro Biden club.
Yes, that's true, but it's also true that the states in which the colleges were located were also suppressing the youth vote. They made very substantial efforts to try to suppress the young vote, okay, and the college vote. And they were probably somewhat successful in certain states. I'm sure they were successful at doing that in the southern states anyway, because I know Bernie had a lot of support uh, when it came to students in the southern states, the students of
Right.
Georgia, for example.
Hmm.
Okay, while you look that up, I'm going to check out some of the comments. Okay, we've been getting. I see
Okay.
we're seeing the comment stream on Streamyard here. That's very good. Greg Mallett says hello, you too. Hi, Greg. And Rob says, hey Yoda. And Greg says, spoiler alert, I knew about this last night, laugh out loud. Well, I mentioned last night that we'd be talking about this, didn't I? And Lana says, hi all. And Stephanie
Hi.
says, hello everybody, it's share time, laugh out loud. I'm really excited about tonight's show. Yeah, I think we've all been excited about it. Stephanie says, but I don't have sound. Dolores says, I'm putting a watch party up. Lana says,
Thank
hi,
you.
Devora. And Greg says, are you going to kill me now? Laugh out loud. Susan said something, but I can't read it. Rob says, I have moved on from Bernie. He has fallen in the establishment web. He has many establishment staffers, and they're appointing his delegates to the convention. It is too late. We need to let him go, otherwise it's shaking the hand. Well, one of the merits, okay, of this idea is that it doesn't have anything to do with the Democratic convention. In other words, Devora's idea is to do this actually following the convention. That's one of the
Yeah, the
interesting
idea is to do it
aspects.
within a week or two of the convention itself so that the convention is done, but we're not losing a lot of time in actually promoting Bernie should he be willing to go all in with us.
That's one of the nice parts about the idea.
Hmm.
Kyle says, politics are an insult to people. You have no vote. The 1% control everything. Well, we're going to keep seeing about that, I think, which is not
I
to
think
say.
it's I think I heard the same thing about how it was impossible to get these big companies to pay people more money. But Bernie broke Amazon. Bernie broke Walmart. That happened. So if we want it
Yeah,
to
that
happen
happened, and he
badly
got
enough,
Amazon to
we
pay
can
more
get it.
also.
Yes, I said that.
Oh, okay,
Um,
sorry.
but yeah, they broke Amazon, they broke Walmart. They basically put these companies in a position where they were going to have to justify themselves if they were going to have too many people who were working for them full time taking welfare money. So that's not cute. We shouldn't be paying for their public assistance. I'm going to actually send the link about the activity from TDMS to my father because I couldn't quite find it. So
Okay.
I admit sometimes I'm as bad at focusing as he is. Um,
So Kay says Ohio had a primary with mail ballots. Yeah, that was a good thing about Ohio, wasn't it, Kay? And Tucker said the entire primaries were about stopping Bernie. The Democratic leadership even had meetings on how to stop Bernie. Yeah, Tucker, you're absolutely right. And they did succeed in stopping him. They panicked and they succeeded, but they needed to have certain people come out of retirement in order to do it, like Barack Obama. Amber
Well,
says,
here's
hello,
the thing
everyone.
to remember, Tucker, and anybody who feels like him. We have a job to do as citizens. And I'm going to sound preachy as heck here, and I guess I am. But I think even if it seems hopeless, it's our job to stand up for as long as we can to try to make things work properly.
You're right. And
And
we don't have to be limited to voting. In other words, that's
it's
one
true.
thing, okay, among lots of other tools. Okay, but it is an important thing and we have to keep on fighting for it. I mean, it's our vote. We got to fight for it.
Now, one thing that we haven't done in a very long time as a country is a general strike, much like the Occupy movement did many years ago. I can't believe I'm saying it's many years ago. It
It
seems
wasn't
like
that
it
many
wasn't that
years ago,
long.
honey. It wasn't that many years ago. It was just yesterday for me.
Yeah, not exactly. I'm pretty sure I was just starting out in my career that I shouldn't talk about on this channel. Um, but basically, we have power. A lot of the reason why this pandemic is in such a hurry to end right now, even though a lot of people feel that we're still in danger, is because the billionaires don't get as many billions if we don't get off our butts and work. So if all of us are saying we're not paying rent, we're not working, we're not helping you until we get a better life, guess what? There's a lot more of us than there are of them. So that sounds pretty intense there, but you know, that's how success, that's how results come. It comes because people insist.
Right. And just to comment on something that was said by
Thank you, Omar.
what Omar said is, sorry guys, Bernie doesn't want our vote. He wants us to vote for Biden. That's true, perhaps, but of
Yes and
course,
no.
the beauty, okay, of this idea is that its purpose is after the convention to try to get him to change his mind. Okay, now it may be too late but, for him to do that. It may give him all kinds of angst, but if we're able to get enough signatures okay, and indications in the millions and millions and millions of people, that will be a demonstration that will be unprecedented, okay, in American politics. And who knows how he's going to react to that? Who knows how the Democratic Party, okay, is going to react to that? I mean, what happens if we got 25 million signatures? What would happen then?
Yeah, I don't really know what number it would take to move him, but there's little question that if we're in excess of 20 million, we'll be making quite the impression.
We'll be making quite the impression. We'll be making quite the impression on the parties, okay, as well. And if we got something like 20 to 25 million people to say they would vote for him, okay, on a write-in campaign, okay, or something like that, it wouldn't really matter whether he wanted those votes or not. I mean, he'd be getting them. I mean, in other words, it's not about him, as he's always told us, okay, it's about us. So the
And if
question is,
and if
what
we want
can
him
we do?
badly enough, should we even care if he runs? I mean, this this action is a test. This action is to show everyone that if they want to, regardless of which party they're in, that they can step up and elect Bernie. Well, what if it goes so well that everyone says, okay, let's write in Bernie in all 50 states. Let's
Right?
write in Bernie to the point where it won't matter whether who tries to run or not, we're going to do it. And then he's fulfilled any promises he's made to the Democratic Party. He's done what he's supposed to do to support the nominee. He did it. We chose a different nominee. We chose him.
Yeah.
We have that option. We don't have to do what the parties
Yes,
say.
we
We
do have that
never had to
option.
do what the parties say.
What Omar says is we need to get rid, okay, of both parties. I agree, Omar. We do need to get rid, okay, of both parties. And if we could do this, it would be a great step towards getting rid of both parties. If we could carry that step forward into the November election and take it into action where we get people to vote against all the incumbents in both parties, if we could do something like that, it would go far towards getting rid of both parties. Can you imagine an election in which most of the incumbents were defeated, totally defeated, because people just wanted to vote against those incumbents? Omar says, go ask about Nina Turner. She's just joined the movement for a People's Party. I know, wasn't that wonderful? Isn't Nina wonderful? Yes, she certainly is.
I'd take up Nina Turner in an instant. Unfortunately, I'd say still a huge part of the country just doesn't know her yet. I wish they did. I think she's as capable as Bernie is.
I certainly think she is. I certainly think she is. The problem is name. The problem is name.
Right. She's just not there yet. So I'm looking at the popular vote, and it was 62 and 65 million on each side.
In 2016.
Right. So when I'm looking at those kinds of numbers, then it looks like we've got a goal number in which to get for the 2020. So if we can assume a number in this test that's big enough that implies that we could get this kind of number, like 65 million, even just implies it, that could make all the difference.
Right. Okay, so I'm noticing, I'm seeing, and I recognize that this is a rational point of view, that some people, okay, are just saying, look, we cannot really hold on to Bernie. We have to move on. It's all impractical. And this may all be quite impractical. But there are some of you who will think that this is, okay, an interesting idea,
Well, here's the thing.
okay, and who want
It
to
doesn't
support it.
matter, in my view, if it's practical at this moment. Right now, what we're asking for is the most honest test we can possibly get. And what that means is that if we can do an honest test that is big enough, much like a PSAT, the SAT will do even better. So it's just a matter of saying, okay, you know what? Biden just doesn't have that much support. It's playing chicken to work with him. And we don't know who we're going to get, assuming he is actually elected, because none of us can picture him lasting through a whole presidency.
Well, I personally think probably who we're going to get is Jill Biden. I
Uh,
don't know whether that's good, okay, or bad.
I don't know if we would get her or if we would get whoever the VP is, which I'm scared to death is going to be Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm scared to death about that also. She'd be awful, just awful. I'm scared to death about that too. I'm scared of Amy Klobuchar too.
Amy Klobuchar scares me slightly less, mostly because she seems like a person who is short-tempered and generally entitled, but at the same time, I don't think she is as intentionally mean as Kamala Harris. She's not the kind of person who could just say, oh, let's see if we can keep these inmates a little bit longer to make them risk their lives fighting fires for us for 6 more months.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I can't picture her doing
Exactly.
anything like
I
that.
can't picture Amy doing that. No.
But I also can picture her being not quite knowledgeable enough to be certain that she wouldn't be giving us World War III.
I can picture her also being just as unfeeling, okay, as Nancy Pelosi when it comes to fiscal policy.
Highly
In
possible.
other words, playing the same kinds of games, okay, as Nancy Pelosi plays with respect to fiscal policy, which that's going to kill people. And that's just going to kill people. We need a president who succeeds Trump who's not going to unnecessarily cause the death, okay, of people. That's imperative. And right now, we can't seem to find a person like that to run. One thing I'd like to see is for Joe Biden to have to drop out, okay, and then be in a position to at least try to find someone who would try to do things in the people's interests, who would fight in a minimal sense for the people's interests. Now, my favorite candidates to mention in this respect are Jeff Merkley, okay, of Oregon, state of Oregon, and Jay Inslee, okay, of the state of Washington. I think both of those people are fairly honest politicians, not too beholden to big money. I think okay, they're earnest people, and in the kind of crisis we're experiencing right now, I think they would be all for relief for most people. I think they would be likely to support the kinds of bills that Jayapal is putting forward right now, okay, and that the squad, okay, is putting forward right now. I don't think they're so visible in supporting that kind of thing, but I think that they would support that kind of thing. And that's the kind of president that I'm looking for. I wish that Jayapal was eligible to run. I really do. Thank you, Steve. So do I.
I
But she's a tough angel, a real tough angel.
am far too ill tempered to be president of the United States. I'm far too ill tempered to do most of the jobs that might require me to be a public person. Maybe that'll go away someday, but for now, no.
Susan says, I don't see much hope at the federal level. I'm focusing on down ballot. Local candidates, we might have better luck there. Susan, I couldn't agree more. We're going to do better on the down ballot, okay, and local candidates. But there is no time. We have to be able to block Joe Biden. We have to be able to get an acceptable candidate into the presidency. We just have to. If we have an unacceptable candidate in the presidency, we would have lost at least 4 critical years and maybe 8 critical years. And with the climate emergency, we'll never recover from the loss of those years. We
I
need
see
time.
the I see the climate issue as being a huge problem with a time clock on it.
Yeah.
I see the problem of millennials developing homes and families as being a time designated problem. You know, I see that a lot of these things will never come this way again. If we don't at least try now, we're forever going to regret at least not trying.
Yes, I entirely agree with that.
So yes,
Okay.
absolutely work down ballot, but if we can do these small things like have this national day for Bernie, then let's do it. Let's find whoever we can who is interested in trying to promote this and seeing who can organize it intelligently and who can organize it on a national level in such a way that we can get the kind of numbers that could make people feel home.
Yes, and I couldn't agree more. I think it's worth trying this idea at the proper time, seeing if it's got some legs at that particular time. Okay, now it may not have any legs because things are moving right now. The movement for a People's Party, okay, is moving right now. And as you pointed out, a significant thing has happened, okay, in that Senator Turner has decided that she's going to join the movement for a People's Party. But Jesse Ventura has said that he's considering a run, okay, with the Green Party. So we've got some activity running, okay, in other places. It may be that in the 4 months left until the end of August, okay, until the convention, that there may be whole new movements developing in this country. And those movements might have left the possibility of Bernie far behind. But if they haven't, if at the end of August we're left with the kind of situation we have now, then this idea might be the kind of last ditch idea that we have to pick up and that we have to run with. It's going to depend on what the situation is, okay, at that time, I think. Okay, but in the meantime, it would be good if people could get some ideas about this, okay, about, the logistics of doing it, okay, logistics of getting people involved, okay, and creating these lists, okay, of people who would, if they could, vote for Bernie. Okay. Okay. It doesn't even matter if people do write-ins for Bernie. In other words, that would be great if we could get write-ins. Okay, but a lot of people are pointing out that this state or that state just doesn't have a write-in option anymore. Okay, or that in certain states, if you write something in, it invalidates the whole ballot. Yeah, that's true. But that's not really the point of this. The point of this is not to get things counted in every state. It's not to have the write ins, okay, in every state. It's to have a demonstration where there are many, many millions of people standing up for Bernie as a better choice than whatever fool the Democrats choose to nominate, including Joe Biden, if it should happen to be him. Susan says, I think Biden is going to win. Yeah, Susan, I think Biden is going to win right now, too. The only reason why he might not win, okay, is because he might really so visibly deteriorate that everybody can just see that he's unfit for office. And by
I'm
consensus,
not
they
sure
move to
he's
try
going
to
to win.
nominate somebody else.
I'm not sure he's going to win. I think that right now, Trump's approval rating is too high. It could very well be that high by the time the election takes place. And I don't think that Biden is well liked enough to make this happen. He's not exciting. I mean, people don't like Trump, especially on the left, but honestly, people are doing a little bit more than tolerating him on the right. And I think you really need a really low approval rating on the right in order to defeat Trump. And or you need someone who's a disruptor. You need someone with an Obama level of movement politics going on. And he just doesn't have that.
Yes, I agree with that, but I also think that what Trump is doing now with the reopening of the economy, okay, and with his being in favor of blocking relief for people, He's evidently standing with those, who don't want to provide any real relief. But for people, these things will just create unprecedented levels of death, okay, and unemployment, okay, at the same time. We won't have seen anything like this in the United States ever, not even in the 30s. And I just think that an incumbent president won't be able to stand against that. We've hardly begun to experience it yet. There have been only 70,000 deaths. Okay, but now people are beginning to project that with the reopening of the economy, that we may be looking at 300,000 deaths now.
I'm
Look at
not sure
this.
about I'm not sure about that. I'm not real sure about how well those numbers were put together. I also don't know how the individual states are going to be handling this reopening because right now, California seems to be, on one hand, ready to reopen things at the end of the week, but at the same time, they're also allowing, for example, major cities like Los Angeles, where I am, to take more time if need be. So I think
Yes, I agree with that as well. There are going to be differences from state, okay, to state. The models they're using to project things, okay, are not an exact science, actually, by any means. And so it could be that the projection of 200,000 deaths or 300,000 deaths, okay, is off. But we're pretty clear right now that in this very month, we're beginning to lose now 3,000 people per day, and we have no testing and contact tracing out there that's commensurate with this particular problem. If we lose 3,000 people a day this month, by the beginning of June, we're going to have another 90,000 people dead.
yeah, I'm not sure how good those numbers are. I know
Well,
that California is number 5, and they don't
what
project the
they
kinds of
think,
numbers
though,
that
okay,
would
what
allow
they
that.
think is that the fatalities they're reporting now, okay, are underestimated. In other
Hmm.
words, the fatalities we've had so far, okay, are an underestimate of the fatalities. And the fatalities we've had so far are now very close to 70,000. Okay? If they're an underestimate, we're looking at 80 to 90,000 people right now. And then we're looking at 3,000 a day for the month, okay, of May, and that's assuming that's accurate. I'll tell you,
I
folks, that's really extremely alarming, and we're still looking at further losses of jobs. That is not done, as I told you the other day. If those estimates that there are another 12.2 million people unemployed who are not even counted, and there were 6 million people, okay, who were unemployed to start with, we're looking at 48.6 million people unemployed right now, with millions to go this very month. We've never experienced anything remotely like that, not even in the 30s. People are going to be very, very angry. They can't get on to the unemployment systems. They can't collect that extra $600 a week. Okay, that's in law, that's theirs in law, and they won't be able to collect it because the unemployment insurance systems don't work. Okay, and there's no more coming from the federal government, evidently, because the Senate is blocking action and Nancy Pelosi is not pushing them too hard. So I don't think this looks good at all for Trump, and whatever they say in the propaganda machine on the other side, the reality people are facing every day is going to be far different and is not going to square with that propaganda coming from the right. I don't think that they can resist that. The only thing that gives Trump any hope at all is the person the Democrats are fixing to nominate. If they don't go ahead, Kay, and nominate him, and they nominate instead someone who looks like they're halfway competent, I don't think Trump's got a chance in hell. If they
Well,
nominate a Jeff Merkley, okay, or a Jay Inslee, Trump is gone, folks. He's never going to win. Not with this disaster.
I can't picture them giving us anyone that liberal.
Well, I don't even think the person has to be really that liberal. I hate to say it, but if they gave us Elizabeth Warren, yeah, I
They're
know, I
they're
know.
not going to give
I
us a
can't stand, I can't stand Elizabeth Warren. I can't stand Elizabeth Warren, and he's going to make unmerciful fun of her. But, but at the same time, at least she's going to give the impression of knowing what to do to make things better, and things are going to be so terrible. We haven't even seen the start of it yet.
I think the one thing that she could do, now I really don't think that the Democrats would put her in, but I think the one thing that she could do is appear to be a better manager, even if not a better leader. Um, Now, when I look at some of the other options, there probably are some who could at least look like they can handle themselves. My worry is that Joe Biden is so far gone that Trump will just make mincemeat of him. I just think he would lose the debate so badly that people would start to forget just how badly Trump has done with this.
Okay, Mark Collins says the movement has to maintain a life of its own. Using Bernie's name may be expedient, but the platform must stay in front of everyone as an economic possibility that will bring prosperity and sustainability. Couldn't agree with you more, Mark. That's very, very, very important. And Kay says
I
she's
love Tulsi, but I don't know that she will ever get anyone's support again anytime soon. Unfortunately, she was not good at making for
you're starting to have some problem with your sound again. But can you hear me, honey? Okay, if you're having sound problems,
behind this.
if you if you're having sound problems again, then go out and come in again. That's the cure. Okay, Devore is having some problems. Okay, Barbara Warnick says she's in with the idea. She's right. Let's do anything we can. I'm in. I think Mark may be with us too. Susan Eldridge says there's a draft Bernie effort going on in Boston as well. Stephanie says, Mark, you're perfectly right. And Stephanie says Mark's Collins comment is really good. Yeah, Mark's comments usually are
Am I
very
gone?
good. You're back. Oops. Okay. I'm sure Devore will be coming back in just a moment. Susan says, wow, Turner is with MPP. Good for her. Steve Wolfbrand says Jesse Ventura. Sandy says he's a man. And Travis Daigle says Trump train baby. And Lauren Fitton says, have heard that as well. I have a hard time actually believing it. I think that no one wants to revisit 2016. If Hillary Clinton went in 2016, I'd highly doubt they want to take that gamble again. Travis says, laugh my ass off. So where's Devora? She needs to come back in again. Steve says Biden has no chance of winning. Barbara says, I agree, Deborah, he can't win. And Kay says, I doubt Biden is going to win. Too many lies and the truth of his voting record. Yes, which we are trying to make available to everyone, of course, in the Biden record group. That's very good. Mark says, those on the fence need to see some sustained enthusiasm. I'm afraid I've lost my daughter. Hopefully she'll be able to get back in again. Those on the fence need to see some sustained enthusiasm for the platform in order to keep hope alive. This must not be a dependent function of what happened last time or two times or any other criteria set by the opposition. Mark, that's another wonderful comment. I totally agree with you. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it different from last time. Sandy says Hillary tried twice. She won't win. Well, I'm not sure I completely agree with that. Okay, because again, Devora's back. I'll add her to the stream again. Hi, honey, you're back. Okay, let's hear your sound.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, good, she's back, and she's good. Okay, so what I was about to say with Hillary is, since I think Trump is going to be in such a terrible spot, okay, I have to be honest and say, okay, that I do think, okay, that Hillary, who can give the impression of being halfway competent, if she can, on this occasion, stay away from people like Larry Summers and come out saying she's not for the TPP anymore. She's certainly not for the TPP. And she is for Medicare for all, and she supports it right now. And if she comes out and she says, I'm going to straighten out Nancy Pelosi right now. If she were to do things like that, she probably could swing a few people and beat Trump. Because Trump is going to be in such trouble. You have to understand, no president will have killed so many Americans before where it's demonstrably his fault. No president will have caused so many Americans to lose their jobs before where it's demonstrably his fault. Not even close. He will make Trump is making Herbert Hoover look like an angel.
Well, that takes a lot of work, but
Actually, Herbert Hoover was a very nice guy. He just was, and he was a Republican progressive also, which is one of the ironies, okay, of history. His career was that of a progressive. Of course, his problem was he didn't believe in the central government. He believed in leaving it to state and local governments to handle a crisis. That's where he screwed up. That's where he screwed up. State and local governments can handle certain crises, like the one we're in right now.
Yeah, it's kind of big.
Never
it definitely
happened.
is big.
So Stephanie said, so we have two old men whose brains are deteriorating at the top as the top nominees. Jesus, we're fucked. Wish 2022 and 2024 would get here already. Unfortunately, they're not going to get here already, and if the wrong person wins, and both of them are the wrong person, in 2020, then that person is probably going to be around till 2025, early in 2025, and that's just unacceptable. Susan said, I heard polls in swing states had Biden leading Trump, especially among older people. Yes, that's what's going on because older people are scared, okay, of dying. And they don't want the economy to reopen. They don't want the economy to reopen. And so Trump is starting to lose them. But on the other hand, The leads which which Biden has now over Trump in swing states are not as big as the leads Hillary had in those same swing states last time. So Trump can overcome such a lead. Of course, on this occasion, I don't think he will, because I think his record is going to stop him from doing that. Okay. Last time, he didn't have a record as president of the United States. He only had a record as a failed entrepreneur, which he was able to lie about like crazy. And Mark says progressivism is a lifestyle choice that opposes any and all sociopathy. I agree, Mark, and that's very well put. Boy, you're on a roll tonight, Mark Collins. You're doing great. Kay says, and by the way, this is the first time you've been back here for quite some time. I've missed you. Travis Daigle says 37,000. 37,000 what, Travis?
Oh, that's 37,000 deaths.
No, it's nearly 70,000 deaths from the disease right now.
No, I think he's picturing the new month.
No, if the new month is 3,000 a day, which is what it looks like right now, we're looking at 90,000 for the new month. Might be even more because May has 31 days. Depends on what happens in May. But he's opening up the economy. If he's opening up the economy, we're going to get more deaths, not less deaths. Steve says, people I work with are getting their stimulus checks. Yes. By the way, we just got our stimulus check in the mail today.
You got a check in the mail?
We got a check in the mail from the IRS. It combined the stimulus checks for Bonnie, Kay, and I into a single check.
Ah.
Stephanie says Travis Dago. And Travis says Devora seems like she has a better grasp on reality than most Dems. Devora's not a Dem.
I'm still registered, but it's a technicality.
Yes, it's a technicality in my case too. We registered so we could vote for Bernie in the primary. We are not Dems.
Yeah, I think the Dems have lost us.
Yes. Okay. I don't think we're affiliated with any party, but if we're inclining to any party, if I'm inclining to any party anyway, it's probably the Movement for a People's Party.
I have no such decision. I have none at all at this point.
Okay,
I really need to be convinced by some party.
That's good. That's good. It's good to need to be convinced. And Susan says, but then again, Bernie was leading or tied with Liz in Massachusetts, but Biden won with absolutely no ground game or visible support or much support in the way of ads, right? He didn't even have much in the way of ads in Massachusetts. So how did he win in Massachusetts? We know it was machine rigging, Susan. It had to be machine rigging. Stephanie says, Trump train, really. Sandy says, my doc was talking about that. He said the CDC was putting COVID on everything. So now they have to go back and look at the medical records. I don't think you're right. I don't think your doc, is right about that. I don't think they've been putting COVID, on everything. Probably they don't even have COVID on enough. They probably needed to start putting COVID on things back in January, and they were not doing that, and back in February, and they were not doing that. They were probably underestimations at that time. Kay says voting is a racket anymore. Travis says some of you all are hoping for more death just so Trump would look bad. I said, no, we're not hoping for more death. We are just looking at the projections being made right now by the scientists. Travis says the CDC revised the number to 37,000. When did the CDC revise the number, Travis? Because right now I'm looking at 3,000 a day. And I'm getting reports from certain models that are saying if the reopening occurs, it could be up to 90,000. Jim says, after those old people for Biden are exposed to Biden's dozens of speeches calling for cuts on Social Security, and other benefits. Yes, it could be. It could be he'll lose support after they're exposed to Biden's dozens of speeches. And we're exposing them to Biden's speeches in our group, the Biden Record Group.
Yes, I keep being told that I should not inform people of Biden's record because they won't vote for him. And them not voting for him is bad because somebody will vote for Trump. I think they're kind of the same people at this point.
Yeah, I think they're kind of the same people too. But we believe in telling the truth, and we're going to keep on telling the truth. We're going to keep on telling the truth about Biden's record, and we're going to keep on telling the truth about Trump's record, and we're going to keep on trying to tell the truth about the projections, okay, and the fatality rates, and what's going on with the unemployment rates. Stephanie says, good night, love, signing off. Well, good night, Stephanie. Thank you for coming, and thank you for all the hard work and all the sharing. It
Good
was
night,
great.
Stephanie. Thank you.
It was great tonight. And Greg says there's nearly 40 cases in my country. You mean in your county, Greg? We have a
Wow.
lot more cases here, okay, in Loudoun County. I think we have something like 800 or 900 cases here, okay, in Loudoun County now. Not too many deaths yet, though. Laura Ann Fitton says people should give, but things are accelerating here in the Washington area now. It's becoming a center. Laura Ann Fitton says people should be given monthly checks to see them through like every other country, over $1 trillion for Wall Street and millions of dollars for corporations. Trump is calling the protesters patriots. That is insane. He is encouraging people to go out to protest, putting people's lives at risk. Yes, and I have to say, I didn't know. I don't know why the police in Michigan were taking that. Here were the police with no masks on, and the demonstrators in front of them with no masks on and no gloves on. And the protesters were in their faces, and the police were doing nothing. And I couldn't help but think, what if those protesters were black people? What would they have been doing then? Couldn't help but think that. I'm sorry. Franz Lozano said, I can't see Biden support on the ground. Yes, I can't see Biden support on the ground. He hasn't had any support on the ground for the whole primary season.
Yeah, people don't seem to gather for him. I don't think that's anyone's imagination. I really don't think that people are gathering for him. And that is why I'm pretty convinced that he's going to lose. I know that, you know, we're hoping that enough anger at Trump will fix this, but as far as I can tell, the right has been very good at blaming the left, and the left has been very good at blaming the right. And no one seems to be acknowledging that no one is really fighting tooth and nail all that hard for the regular people. Not
Yes,
even Bernie.
I know, but they're not experiencing the reality of it yet. They're not experiencing the reality of it yet. I mean, there are going to be millions of people in Washington with this level of unemployment, okay, and this level of death. There are going to be millions of people, okay, in Washington. And it won't be long now. Next 2 or 3 months, you're going to see chaos, just chaos. Greg says, those very blue, no matter who types, are worthless. And Barbara's saying, truth, it's what will save us, hopefully. It's hard for the truth to get through with all the noise. Susan said, Harvey K said, let's see, I guess
Well, right now, unfortunately, most people are still very, very convinced that the two parties are all they have. and whoever the two parties pick is who we're stuck with. So I think until someone can actually picture something different, we're very, very stuck with people who are essentially the same, who don't care about our health, who don't care about our financial well-being, who don't connect those things even to our actual thriving in life.
Right. Absolutely. And so Susan Eldridge says Harvey K said instead of saying never Biden, we should say give me a reason to vote for Biden. We should shout at the Biden people, give me a reason to vote for Biden.
Most
But
people just say the reason is Trump.
yeah, that's what I think they're going to say. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The reason is he's not Trump. She goes further and she says, but I don't trust Biden, so why bother? Biden lies constantly. That is a very good point, and we should say that to Harvey K. And I'm wondering why Nomiki Konst did not say that to Harvey K today when he was on her show, and he said that we should say to Biden, give me a reason to vote for Biden.
Well, I think that Nomiki knows that Biden is trying to avoid making any promises whatsoever to progressives.
Of course, she knows that. She knows that better than anybody else because
But I
she's
still
been.
think she should say it out loud regardless.
Yeah, she says she should say it out loud regardless. Uh, Sandy said, my doc said the same thing that people may have had COVID a lot earlier than what they thought. I think I might have had a mild case of it in February myself, Sandy says. It's hard to tell if you've had a mild case of it because it has so many different symptoms that it's hard to tell whether it's COVID or something else. It's incredibly hard to tell, okay, until you're really badly off whether it's COVID. And that's another reason why this lack of testing is so terrible. And that is wholly Trump's fault and the CDC's fault because they could have had the WHO tests way back and they wouldn't take them. They had to develop their own, and then they did an incompetent job of it. Nathan Rosa says, the Democratic establishment don't actually care if Trump is reelected. They have zero contempt for their supporters like the GOP does theirs. Greg says, yeah, there's nearly 40 cases and only 2 deaths in my South Georgia county. Lucky so far, Greg.
Yeah,
Kay
definitely.
says, both parties keep their money and power no matter who wins. Not if we vote all the incumbents out. Not if we go in and we vote against the incumbents. Susan says security guard was shot to death because he asked someone to wear a mask.
I saw that. It was pretty distressing, but at the same time, I really wonder how many people are like that, and I wonder how many stories like that are being used for some type of political gain. Because crazy people are everywhere, and certainly if you confine many people to their home for too long, they will go nuts if they're already on their way. So I don't know if this person would have shot someone in the face for some other reason had there not been the reason of being stuck at home being COVID.
And Travis says, yeah, this disease spreads quickly. There will be lots of cases, but it's no more deadlier than the flu and no reason to crash our economy. If this keeps up, our food supply lines will break. Yeah, maybe so, but I don't know if there's evidence to say that it's not any deadlier than the flu. It's very hard to compare because for the flu we have the vaccines, and for COVID-19 we don't have any vaccines yet.
Well, also at this point, I do believe it has made it now to be our leading cause of death over the last 4 months. So whether you think it's more or less deadlier in the flu doesn't really matter if you've got those kinds of numbers that can create that situation. And again, if there's no real treatment, if there's no real vaccine, it doesn't matter because you can die of the flu if it goes completely untreated.
That's right. You can die of the flu. And also, there's some degree, okay, of immunity to the flu, okay, in our population right now. And COVID-19, of course, okay, is a novel virus, so uh, it may be not very many people are immune, okay, are naturally immune, okay, at this point. We just don't know. At the beginning, the suspicion was that there were very few people who were naturally uh, uh, immune. So if 70% of the people could expect to get it, okay, at that time, and we were looking at a death rate of 1%, that was something like 2.2 million people. And that's just unacceptable. That kind of fatality rate from it in the first year with that out of vaccine. I mean, that's the kind of tragedy that some nations were having in World War II that the United States was never subjected to. We were never subjected to that kind of fatality rate. And we don't know how we would react as a society to it, but it would be hugely dangerous for us. And Franz Lozano says if COVID was just like the flu, why do they shut down the country for COVID but not the flu? Because we have flu vaccines. They realize it's much worse than the flu.
Well, the second thing is on top of having flu vaccines, there are medicines that can reduce the overall impact.
Of the flu, and
Right.
there are none yet for COVID. Okay, that we know about.
Unfortunately, affecting blood vessels in the lungs and blocking important areas of the lungs are not something that we have great medications for.
Right. Susan says COVID spreads much quicker into more people than the flu. Fran says he was asking a rhetorical question. And Barbara says, unacceptable, that's the word. Unacceptable is the word. Highly unacceptable. So unacceptable that we're not going to tolerate it. Okay, do we have any more comments or questions? Any comments on how to implement the idea? Any thoughts on how to implement it? If there are any thoughts, we need you to contact us. And if you'd like to form a Facebook group as kind of a clearinghouse for this.
I have one.
Oh, Devora has formed a Facebook group for this?
Yes, yes. If
Oh,
you
I
type
didn't
in
realize you had.
National Day for Bernie, it does exist.
Oh, so there is a Facebook group which is called the National Day for Bernie.
Yes.
Okay, can you post the link in the comment section then?
I can at least send it to you, if to no one else.
Okay, if you put it into the comment section, which I'm sure you can, then I can put it into the description after the live stream is over. I will edit it and put it in the description. And Sandy says, hi, Greg. And Nathan says, why don't we have temporary Medicare for all?
Can everyone see that?
I don't know. I'll check in just a minute.
Okay.
We don't have Medicare for all because Nancy Pelosi would not push on it. And the
Nancy,
Democrats would not
Nancy
push on
Pelosi
it
wants us to eat
because
ice cream with her.
they don't want people to have any experience with Medicare for all, not even temporarily, because they know then they would lose the fight for Medicare for all. These are not people we want in office anymore. It's imperative that Nancy Pelosi be defeated this time around. We don't want her back in 2021. I don't even want her in the Congress, but I certainly don't want her as Speaker of the House. So, the candidate to support there is Shahid Buttar. He's running against her. He's the choice. He can beat her. Skylar Ward says, with states opening, it seems like just with states open seems like just letting the states being washed over by the virus. What makes it different? It's letting the states handle the virus or manage the virus, the state governors. What makes it different is that the state governors do not have the fiscal power to handle the virus. They don't have the fiscal strength. The states can't afford to support the medical care system.
As I'm concerned, we have failed to properly fund states. Can't everyone in their state employed for basically 3 months. If they can't do it, they don't have enough money. We've done something wrong.
Okay, there's a problem with your sound again, and we're getting an echo also.
I have no ability to fix that.
Okay, so Susan said, where did this idea for a national day come from? It came from Devora.
It
It's
came
her.
from me.
It came from Devora. It's her idea. Okay, a national day for Bernie. Steve says Devora is wonderful. Well, I certainly agree.
Thank you, Steve. No, I really was just looking for some way to basically ring the bell. If for no other reason than to just say, look, this is the person who's showing the leadership that we need, and that we need this now. We can't wait. So, as far as I'm concerned, I believe that if Bernie wants to continue to support the nominee, he can support that nominee until the cows come home. I don't care if he wants to actually run for himself or not. If he's willing to step up, if he wins and we do the job for him, great. Let's do it.
Okay, we're not voting for Trump as the only option. We're working to get some other options. Okay, apart from Trump.
Yes, I would agree with that. I
But
think
we
that
are
any
not
other
voting.
options
We're not
are worth
voting
considering.
for anybody who's in the process of killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. There's no way that's going to happen.
And I'm not interested in voting for somebody who's not, especially after this pandemic, not serious about Medicare for all.
Yeah, me too. He has to be insane, and he has to have no conscience,
Exactly.
and he has to be in cognitive decline, which I think he is.
There's little doubt.
Travis
And
says,
that's
"I'll have
even
some ice
more
cream,
crazy.
Nancy."
And that's the reason why a lot of people are not willing to vote for him. There are people who really hate Trump, but who've told me that they are afraid to vote for Biden because they don't know who's doing the thinking for him. They at least know what they're getting with Trump, and they feel like they can just try to strengthen their down ballot and try to strengthen the courts in some way and find other ways to accomplish blocking him when necessary. And they think that's a better idea than trying to deal with Biden and who knows who behind him.
Right.
Because if we can't hold the people behind him accountable because we don't know who they are, we really don't know what we're getting or what to do.
That's right. Okay, Russ says he needs to call it a night. So have a
Thanks,
good
Russ.
night. Thank you, Russ. Have a good night. He says, but Dad and I are doing a lot of work around the house on my rare time down. Okay, enjoy the housework, Russ, and enjoy your night. And enjoy tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow night, of course. Then I'll be talking about the planet of the humans. The planet of the humans. And my guest will be my guest for tomorrow night. will be Kathy Cowan Becker, who is the author of a great review blog on Michael Moore's film, and she's a fellow at the Global Institute for Sustainable Prosperity as well. And she's going to be very cogent on the subject of Michael Moore's film, and she and I are going to have a go round about it, and I guarantee it's going to be very, very interesting. So Nathan Rosa says Bernie's the only candidate for president I've ever voted for more than once. Okay, and Dolores Pierce says good night, Russell. Saying says have a good night, Russell. And Travis Daigle says unplug your mic and plug it back in. Kay says I searched Facebook but couldn't find the link Devora has. And Sandy says Obama seems to be behind Biden, or at least one. I think Devora has gone out, and we'll probably... there she is. She's back in again. Hello, honey.
Hi. Yes, I have sent the link. It is in your private chat. I can't seem to get into the other chat.
Oh, okay. Okay, as long as you left me a link, it's fine.
Okay.
It'll work because I'll put it into the description of the live stream. Wow. And Steve says, Doc, you should be very proud of this woman. Of course I'm very proud of this woman. Of course I'm very proud of her. And Kay says, I searched Facebook but couldn't find the link. And Nathan Rosa said, instead of hashtag blue no matter who, I'm hashtag go green or go home.
I like that one.
Me too. Travis says, that's the truth. At least you know what you're getting with Trump. I know what I'm getting with Trump. I'm getting a death cult with Trump.
Well, I'm also kind of convinced that Biden will bring us to war as a way to boost the economy. I'm a little bit afraid of that, to say mildly.
I think with respect to war, it's...
Thank you, Kay.
It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Thank you, Barbara.
Matthew says, what would the mechanics be if the Fed were to spend money directly
Hi,
on infrastructure? I don't know. That depends on the details. Okay, it depends on the details of the bill, Matthew. But generally speaking, infrastructure bills take time to get going in spending the money, Matthew. They take time to get going. It's not immediate cash into the economy. And people need immediate cash now. They don't have immediate cash now. The proper bill is the Jayapal Tlaib ABC Act, the Automatic Boost to Communities Act. It gives people a basic income of $2,000 per person for the duration of the crisis, and $1,000 per child, also for the duration of the crisis. And then further, once the crisis is over, it continues with the basic income for $1,000 for 1 year after the coronavirus crisis is over. So that's the bill that needs to be passed. It's going to be funded with some platinum coins. Won't involve raising any taxes. It won't involve any floating of debt instruments. It's just going to be funded by the platinum coins. It's a great bill, and it's going to really back up the safety net for all of us, and it's funded in the proper way.
Platinum coins.
Scholar Ward says, and if you want to know who wrote the book on the platinum coin, it's me. I did. So go to my page at josephmfirestone.com, and there you'll find a link to my book on fixing the debt without breaking America. And that's the only book yet written on using the platinum coin to fund things. Uh, Skylar Ward says, without federal backing in a system that by taxation has held the federal government accountable for funds to ward off emergency relief. Do states have a line of credit or a lack of pay into the federal tax pool that they can rely on for funding for state workers? No. And Laura Ann Fitton says, good night, guys. And Sandy
Good
Degg
night.
says, Obama seems to be behind Biden, or at least one. He seems to be behind Biden. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a situation where Michelle stepped up to be the vice presidential candidate and Barack was close to the premises for the next 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move like that.
I don't know. I thought they were done with that kind of responsibility, but with Barrett putting his feet back in, one never knows. Sorry, his name was Barry until he ran for Congress.
His name was Barry until he ran for Congress.
Barry.
When he became Barack. Of course, his legal name was always Barack, right?
It was always his legal name.
It was always his legal name?
Yes.
Which was always his legal name? Was Barry his legal name?
No.
Okay, it was always Barack, right? And Barbara Waring says, thank you both. Devora, you are amazing. Thank you. Lana says, please
Thank you.
create that event. Yes, yes, I will create that event since I now know who's going to be on it. I'll create the event sometime tonight before I go to sleep. And Nathan Rosa said Michael Moore should make a documentary about how disastrous the year 2020, working title, Hindsight Wasn't 2020.
Good night, Susan.
And Kay says, thank you, Devora. Very nice to have you here tonight. Travis Daigle says, I think Devora is going to secretly vote Trump if Biden is the only option. Don't worry, you won't be the only one. Kathy says, I love Devora's idea. Thank you, Kathy. Skylar says, I'm heading out. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming, Skylar. And
Thank you.
Mark says, if Biden were to win, then it is likely that we would have some form of TPP and a totally neutered constitution. Oh, God, God, God. Not if we defeat Nancy Pelosi for the speakership and we get in a decent speaker. If we get in a decent speaker of the House, the Speaker of the House will block the TPP. It doesn't matter if the President supports it if he doesn't have the support of the Speaker on it. So we need a progressive Speaker of
Okay.
the House. Sandy says, I would write in Yogi Bear before I would vote for Trump. Maybe
Good
we should
night.
write in Yogi Bear. And Susan says, Kana and Omar have a bill also for $2,000 a month. Okay, I haven't seen the Kana Omar bill for $2,000 a month, but I suspect the Jayapal Pai bill is better because it uses platinum coin funding. Sandy says, or Biden, but I'll check out the Kana and Omar bill. But if you have a link to it, Susan, please put that up because I haven't seen that one yet. Travis says, do you guys own the Firestone Tire Company? Hook a brother up with some tires. Sorry, we are no relation to the Firestones or the Firestone Tire Company. By the way, some years ago they were bought out by the Japanese anyway, and so we wouldn't have the tire company anyway. But we certainly don't have the tire company anymore. And so Barbara says, hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. And Nathan says Barack Hussein Obama II. Fran says, in all honesty, I don't mind Michelle. Well, you have no idea what Michelle would do or what she's like. Kay says Obama sucks too. Barbara says hoo-ha. Sandy says, hashtag Joe wrote the book. Okay, and Matthew says, is that platinum coin the only way in the U.S. for the Fed to spend without using taxing or securities? Well, it's not the Fed spending, it's the Fed topping up the Treasury spending account, and then the Treasury does the spending. But still, the question is valid if you're asking, is the platinum coin the only way in which the Treasury can get the Fed to top up the Treasury spending account without using either taxing or securities? That is not the only way. There are a number of ways. Okay, in my book, I outline 7 ways in which that can be done, but there is now an 8th way, which I failed to specify in my book, which is really has always been there. I call it overt congressional financing. And that way is for Congress to specify in appropriations bills the language that's needed to order the Federal Reserve to place the money necessary for spending and appropriation right into the Treasury spending account as soon as the appropriations bill is passed. Overt congressional financing not only involves that, it also involves a second command before the Federal Reserve, that is to top up the spending account for the amount of money that is necessary for the Treasury to repay any Treasury debt plus the interest due on that debt falling due during the period of an appropriation. If the boilerplate for overt congressional financing were placed into every money bill coming out of the Congress, then by the end of 30 years, there would be zero federal debt. There would be no more federal debt. Now, the federal debt in itself and the level of the federal debt is not important from the standpoint of sustainability or solvency, but it is important from the standpoint of politics because the debt and its size constantly freaks people out. So the way to stop that from happening is to gradually repay the debt as the debt falls due. Nathan Rosa says Barack Hussein Obama second. Sandy says good night. Was that Sandy said good night? Sandy, is that you saying good night? No, Susan is saying good night. And Travis is saying the way to fix the debt in America, make a law that says CEO of a company can make no more than 50 times more than the loss made by that company. You're welcome. Well, I'm for 35 times more, but I don't think that's what I was talking about in that book is fixing the public debt in America, specifically the debt subject to the limit. That's what I discuss. Okay. Also, Dolores says good night, Susan, and Mark says Congress simply needs to pass the legislation with a funding package. Fran says Nancy Pelosi has held her seat since the 90s at least. I think since the 80s sometime. As I recall, it was 1984 or something like that, or 1986. She replaced Phil Griffin at that time, who was her mentor. And when he died, she ran for his seat and she won. So, yeah, she's been in since the 1980s. And Kay says Pelosi has always been bought, and paid for. She has been the one who helped to create the mechanism for people to be bought and paid for. She's been the broker, the financial engine of the Democratic Party all these years, holding the fundraisers, getting the donors into the funding umbrella. Kay says, I'm out of here tonight. Thank you for another great discussion and love you all. Well, folks, I've been on for about an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm tired too, and since I don't see any more comments, and I've covered them all, I thank you all for coming. I thank you all for being here. And I thank you for hanging in as long as you have. There are still 29 of you here. I'll be back tomorrow with the Planet of the Humans. Please tune in again. Good night, everyone.